Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the team meeting, the Realtor Huddle. All right. Go ahead and clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Boom. Love it. All right. Well, let's kick it off with Tell Me Something Good. Here, Jose, you mind just managing that? Go ahead and tell me what good. Alicia, what happened in your business last week?
I think I mentioned that I had a townhouse I listed last week, and it was like the fourth time I've sold it because I've had repeat clients and people ended it before. Well, we put it in escrow. It had 5 offers, wow. And it was like significantly over ask price. Like
10,000?
No.
Like how much? Can
like
you share?
20,000 over.
Wow, that's crazy. Great job. Market is heating up, by the way. If you want to be notified about when the next huddle is taking place, what topic is going to be covered, please scan the QR code and you'll get a text a day or two before, so you know what's going on. All right, who else has something good to share? Anybody? All right, Lindsay, what do you got?
Yeah, I was gonna, Janae, shout out to Janae. She has a new escrow contract, and that was one that, Saturday morning, they said, hey, could we put in an application? We want to put in an offer today. And an application. I actually pre-approved them while I was in the car on the way to Tahoe.
Nice.
And they put in their offer and got it accepted by Monday. Now they're in contract,
Congratulations.
so
That's a huge
Janae.
win. Congratulations, Janae and the DJ Mac team. All right. Anybody else? We got some fun stuff to cover today. Okay. So I just want to, one of the things we're going to go over briefly is an upcoming event. So every month, Brent spares no expense and puts on this huge event for us at PCAR. And so this coming Thursday, or excuse me, on the 21st, it is going to be Ryan Lundquist. He's going to be speaking at PCAR. It's always a good time. So Pipe spoke last time. Who's heard him speak before? Raise your hand. Yep. You guys like him?
Yeah.
He's good? Mm-hmm. So he's going to be speaking again. And we heard Pipe speak about more like the national market, how to communicate that with our clients. What you're going to take away from Ryan is how to communicate that on a local level. We're really lucky to have somebody of his caliber here in the market, in the Sacramento market, because he's just an anomaly. An appraiser like him is an anomaly. So we get to learn about the market from an appraiser's perspective. It's free. Go to brentgove.com to sign up. All you have to do, so let's just walk you through it. So it's for the recording, but if you go to brentgove.com, you can go to upcoming events, local events, because Brian's speaking in person. Here's a list of the speakers. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see Ryan Lundquist right here. If you click on him, it'll take you to Eventbrite. Right? Any questions on that? Awesome. All right. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's meeting, JJ, we mind giving us a quick lender update?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sure. Hey guys, so good to see you all. As always, I'm JJ with American Pacific Mortgage. Got my team here. I've got Lindsay and Allison. And we're here to help you whatever you need. And I want to share with you a few things. But first, as you know, well, as you may not know, interest rates did go up again today. Why did that happen? Well, what happened? I know. I hate coming with that news. It's not good news. But it happened because inflation is still going up. You guys are still going to the store and using your credit cards to buy things. Stop doing that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we're still spending money. And so because we still spend money, interest rates continue to go up. And also, if you've noticed, gas at the pump has started to continue to go up. So we're seeing these things continue to climb. Inflation has continued to go up. Hopefully that comes back down with these higher rates, and it gets us to stop spending a little bit of money, so that way we can get lower interest rates. So I do think that will happen eventually with what's going on in our economy. It might just take a couple more months. With that being said, I wanted to share a story with you guys. This story is really cool because it's something that we all can do. And a lot of times we don't do it. So I wanted to share the importance of being a team and having a team behind your back. A lot of times, myself, I'll get a call from a client and that client will want to get pre-approved. And sometimes I'll forget to say, hey, what realtor are you working with? Well, I don't have a realtor. And all of a sudden now they're teamed up with another realtor that I don't know, and maybe that realtor is trying to push off their lender, and now all of a sudden you've got issues. The same thing happens with the real estate agent, right? Where the realtor will get a call, hey, I want to go look at a home. Great, let's go see it. And then now you're looking at homes, you're doing things. Oh yeah, I've got a pre-approved Wells Fargo. We're all good. But then what happens? You go and you put the offer in, and all of a sudden, are they really approved? Maybe not. Or also what could happen is that particular buyer could end up getting a worse transaction than what they usually could get. So what was happening in this particular situation is this person was told that they had to put 20% down to qualify with Wells Fargo. And so they saved up money over the past year. So that, okay, we did that. Once they got into escrow, the real estate agent then said, hey, you should call JJ just to get a second opinion. So they called me, and what we realized is, okay, you have the 20% down, but really what you should do is take some of this money and use it towards paying off some debt. Because actually, not only is your payment going to be better overall, the lower debt, but the interest rate is actually better with lower down payment. Does that make sense, guys? But it does, because now you have mortgage insurance. So we had them put just over 15% down. We used that other 5% to pay off some debt. Now they have a lower interest rate. They paid off some debt. But if they would have done this a year ago, they didn't have quite 20%, but they still had 15% down. So they could have already purchased a home. They could have been living in a home. So while you're out there, while you're looking have your clients who are looking for homes, remember to pair them up with a lender that you trust and you know that they're going to give them good advice. So that way you can get the right deal for your client. That's what we're supposed to do. So,
And you could have gotten paid a year earlier.
yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
So, also, as you guys can see, I've got my green pants on today. We're having our St. Patty's Day party. There we go. I love it. So come on over to our office. We want to appreciate all of you for what you do for us. That's why we do these events. We just want to have everybody there that, supports our business. And even if you don't right now, we still want you to come over and have some fun. We deserve it in this industry right now. And we want you to be there with us. We're going to have a bagpiper come. It starts at 4:30. He's going to be there around 5. We're going to have a ton of food, a ton of drinks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. Any questions I can answer?
The address.
It's 2237 Douglas, suite number 100. Look for the green shamrock.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. All right, give them a round of applause. All right, team. So what we have today is so I'm gonna share a little bit of a little personal stuff. Normally we don't do this, but I've had a crazy 7 days. So dog went into labor a little bit over a week ago. She went into labor 2 o'clock in the morning on last Wednesday. Had the baby Thursday morning. So that's good, right? Had the baby Thursday morning. Baby Ben was born on National Ben Day of all days.
Whoa.
And yeah, so mom and baby are doing good. And then we had the fantastic grand opening here on Tuesday, right? Who went to that?
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun? Right. So that was a crazy thing. And then yesterday, JJ brought up somebody that was Wells Fargo. So for those of you, does anybody bank with Wells Fargo, have corporate accounts with Wells Fargo? Okay. Somebody said 9 more? Yeah. So just want to, I was supposed to wire about $9,000 to somebody yesterday for a real estate transaction that closed. And I go in to look at my accounts and they started shutting down. They shut down almost all of my accounts. Like my money is gone. So I have a new baby, wife's, dealing with that. And so we bank exclusively with Wells and all of our money disappeared. So I'm in there and I'm saying, hey, give me my money. You're like, what is it? Miracle on 31st Street, whatever that show is. Or Mary Poppins. Wonderful Life, whatever it is. Wonderful Life. Yes. Old movie. Yeah, and so I'm like, give me my money. And they're like, we don't have all the cash in here, but we can give you a cashier. I mean, you guys are freaking killing me right now. So if you're gonna rob me now. My gun safe is filled with cash. But the point is, if you're banking, why I'm sharing all this is if you are banking with Wells, make sure that your address is correct. Because what happened is they said my address wasn't correct. They gave me almost no notification and they shut down not only my business accounts, but my personal accounts based off of an address supposedly being wrong. And interestingly enough, they're gonna wire or send me a cashier's check with the funds in the next 15 business days to the address that they said was wrong. So, and if I don't get the wire in the next fit, or if I don't get the check in the next 15 business days, then I can contest it. So absolutely insane.
Does that make sense?
So
That's crazy.
I don't know. I think there's something more going on, maybe with the government, or maybe they're in trouble or something like. I don't know. I don't have any answers. But I just, in case any of you were not checking your bank account yesterday, you might want to, and you're with Wells, you might want to look into it. It's not just me. It's happening. Like you can Google it. It's
So
happening.
who are you banking with now?
Yeah, there you go.
Nobody. Nobody.
Johnny?
What's your address?
So, yeah. So 17 Cherry Tree Lane. But
Well, if his money's in his gun safe, then his guns must be out.
yeah.
By there now.
So I'm open to suggestions. But I'm probably gonna so lessons learned. So why am I sharing this? One, in case you are banking with Wells and did not know this was going on, you want to get it handled as quickly as possible. Two, what I had been told by a guy who's worth a ton of money is to never put your eggs in one basket, right? Never bank with one bank. I was like, that's dumb. All my accounts there. I can move money around. It's super easy. One swipe up and a scan on my face. I can see what's going on financially. But right now, one swipe up and it's like pretty sad because there's nothing in there. So what the guy suggested that I should have done a while ago is bank with a national bank and then also bank with a credit union, like a local credit union, and have money in both. And so that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to open an account with either, I'm open to suggestions, but I'm considering safe or holding.
Hold on, sorry.
Safe and Patel.
Patel? Okay, so just, I figure I can't be the only person that banks with Wells in the room this size, or with people on the Zoom. So, or who are gonna maybe watch this recording in the next 24 hours, so
It helps
Wanna-
with saving too.
toss that out.
Yeah.
There's a book called Profit First.
You got out of Wells?
Oh, yeah, I got out of Wells, like 7 years ago, yes, I was part of Plaid, I don't remember last year. Credit union.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, and then they got bought by Wells, and this was, problem, they said, well, come in and you can sit down and talk to a private banker, I go, okay, here's the phone, the numbers, I'm like, what?
Why'd I come in?
Why did I come in? I'd go and sit down, and call the private banker, so I could get, and that's when I had all my business accounts, I had like 9 accounts there, all the accounts, everything. I closed them all.
Where are you now?
I'm at US Bank, well, it used to be Union Bank, which I loved Union Bank for a long time, and they just got bought by US Bank. Which it's been fine, but it's still,
Big bank.
I mean, the banks, it's getting harder and harder to go into branches there, with people there, they're trying to get you to hold everything online. Go try and take more than more than $2,500 cash out.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't let me.
They
So
won't, they won't,
I use First Northern
or you have to order it,
and I take a large amount of cash out of there all the time.
do you?
Yeah, First Northern's been pretty good. They're really small though. And there's
Yeah.
only about 7 branches.
But like, I went in to take like 25 grand out, and they're like, yeah, no, yeah, you gotta order that.
Yeah.
Usually.
I'm taking you very serious because I'm right now with Wells and they take my mortgage out 2 times for 2 months, so they know where to take it out. And while I'm fighting about it, they charged me late fees of almost $300 a month. And then I got a thing yesterday saying my mortgage is late. It's really screwed up over there. I thought I was the only one, but yeah.
There's some serious stuff. So that's what I'm worried about is like, they said, I said, can I get, because they started shutting down accounts. Like it was all in the process. And as soon as they were shut down, the money was gone and I'm gonna have to wait for a check. But there were still 2 accounts that still had some money in them. And so I said, well, can I pull the money out? And they said, yes. But I can only get, so it was like 20 grand in cash and then the rest had to be cashier's check. And then, but they told me that, but now all my accounts are zeroed and like I run my businesses out of it, right? So there's stuff that's going to be withdrawn automatically. So I'm probably gonna get charged late fees if I choose to go back to them, right? And so it's just a huge disaster. So April 1st will have been a year that I have not been drinking, and man, they're making it hard to hold through that. So,
April Fool's Day.
that was April Fool's Day, yeah. So anyways, enough about my situation. Hopefully you guys aren't going through that. If you are, or you weren't aware, now you are. But what I really wanted to discuss just briefly today is getting a lot of questions from the team about objection handling. Now I know we've covered this, it's maybe you're thinking, hey, what I've heard this before. but hopefully you'll get some new nuggets out of here. Three people that I really enjoy listening to before we get four guys. Four people, we'll say four people. One is Grant Cardone. I really enjoy listening to Grant Cardone stuff. You guys followed me or know me for 10 seconds, I respect that guy. Another guy is Brendan Mulrenin. See his stuff on YouTube. It's really good.
What's the last name?
Mulrenin. So good luck.
Oh, you know,
Mulrenen. Brendan Mulrenin. He's super easy. He'll be easy to find. Brendan Mulrenin. And then another guy, Dale Archdeacon. We've actually had him speak at PCAR. He's really good. He does like an objection class every week for free that you can zoom into. And it's really, you'll see a lot of what I'm teaching is from here. And then the last guy is that Jeremy. Is it Jeremy? He's starting to get famous on YouTube. Jeremy Minor, I think it is. Does that ring any bells? Jeremy Lee Minor. Jeremy Lee Minor. Yep, that guy. And so if you're looking for something beyond, like nothing wrong with the classics, nothing wrong with the Mike Ferries or the Tom Ferries or the Tom Hopkins, like I think those all have value in them. But if you're looking for something that maybe might be a little bit more your speed, if you're not resonating with those personalities, there's four names for you. But I just want to give credit to those guys before we get into this, because their stuff's weaved in and about what we're about to handle. So who knows what the number one rule, the first rule of handling an objection? This is pretty much universal.
Here's the.
I would say agree with them.
Agree, correct. That's typically what I've been taught is agree with him with you. Hey, I hear what you're saying. Hey, I totally get where you're coming from, right? So the first rule is agree. From once you agree, like if you disagree out the gate, hey, I think my home was worth $500,000. You know what? You're wrong. Yeah, I hear you. So at least start meeting them in the middle, right? So the first rule is agree. So what objections are you all typically hearing on the listing side? So when you go into somebody's living room or you're trying to set a listing appointment, what objections are you typically hearing? Let's write them down.
Zillow says it's worth a lot more.
Zillow. It says it's worth more. What else? We're putting them up here for you guys. Anything else? I'm hearing I need to think about it.
Raise it to not a good time.
Yeah, not a good time.
Let's spend whoever pays, charge the lowest commission.
Yeah, there you go.
Commission.
2.5% interest rate.
Commission. All right, so that gives us something to work with. Okay, so what we're about to teach will help you handle these objections. Okay, this basic framework. So the basic framework is one, you want to agree. Right, we covered that. Two, you want to speak to the person's point of view. Make sure you understand what they're saying. Ask them an assumptive question or statement. Give them some value. Like you're solving their problem, and then gain agreement. So how does that work? Will you lower your commissions? That was one of the questions one of the objections we heard, right? Great question. And then I'm trying to make sure I understand what it is they really want. JJ, you want to make sure you make the most money possible from the sale of your home, correct?
100%.
100%. Okay, great. There are plenty of people out there that will discount their commissions in a second if that meant you would list your home with them. May I share why that's a red flag?
Sure.
Okay, great. And so then what you do is the commission breakdown. So who here has heard the commission breakdown before? Okay. Because oftentimes they don't understand how we're paid. They just see this big check. And so the easiest way that I have found to break it down is there's three main buckets, Mr. Seller. First bucket is my broker. My broker is going to take about 1/3 of the commission. And I keep it in thirds because sometimes you're dealing with 3.5%, 2.5%. It's not always 3% that you're dealing with. So the broker's typically going to take about 1/3. Okay. Then the government's going to take another third, right? And there's no way around those two. That remaining third is what that agent has left to live off of and market your property. Now, when it comes down to marketing your property and putting shoes on their kids' feet and food on the table and paying the mortgage, what do you think is going to get squeezed?
That's good.
Right? Your marketing budget. Okay. And so that's why it's a red flag. So, and then you can go into the close. Hey, I'm confident I can get you the most money possible out of the sale of the home, and hopefully build up some value at that point. But that three bucket breakdown really clarifies to them why you're charging what you're charging and how they could be how they could be negatively impacted if they go with that other agent. I just took a listing in Davis. The individual wants to sell it for more than maybe what it might appraise for, but he was very upfront and honest with us that I was going against Redfin. And through using this, I was able to earn the listings. Okay, and he's paying me way more. I did get off my fee a little bit, but I was able to earn the listing at a significantly higher rate than what he would have paid for it. And I firmly believe he's getting a better deal with me because of just everything that my team does. Okay, so
Let me pause you right there.
Yeah.
That last part that he just threw on there is a nugget and a hat. He firmly believes that he's getting a better deal with him. You gotta have that belief.
Yeah.
You've got to believe that you're the best option out there, or that you and the team behind you is the best option out there. And that that's the magic sauce that makes this kind of stuff work.
yeah, and then another thing I said, again, this is just my like, this is a success story. Like there's times where this doesn't always work, but what I told him was like, hey, if you're looking for the cheapest option, you know, I am not the cheapest option, but I am the least expensive. That's what I said. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I will make you more money than they will because I do this. Right. And that's another question that you can ask them. If somebody's going to discount the commission, is say, great, what are they going to offer for that reduced fee? What are they going to offer for that reduced fee? Because with the Made for More team, I can't speak to everybody. This is just what we do, is we'll call around the neighborhood. 42% of people who buy a home, purchase that home, move to that neighborhood because a friend, family member, or coworker recommended it to them. It's from the National Association of Realtors. So if I'm calling for the neighborhood, I'm calling through people who know somebody that might be looking to move to buy that person's home. So we're calling, we're doing postcard drops. We have database of over 15,000 buyers. We're doing radio ads. We're doing digital marketing. We're doing a home readiness consultation. We're doing a 3D tour. We're doing all these things, right? Where we bring a stager in because homes that are staged correctly sell faster and for more money, right? And so we're doing all these things. And so I'll break it down. I just shotgunned it to you all. But what I will do with the seller, say, hey, are they gonna do they have 8 full-time people that are calling to the neighborhood on your behalf, trying to proactively find a buyer? Or are they relying on the 3 Ps? You guys know what the 3 Ps are? This is
Price.
Price, but it's in the iron break.
Yep. So the 3 Ps it's the traditional realtors marketing plan. It's it's designed to be a joke. So hey, this is a corny joke, but they put a sign in the yard, they put it in the MLS, and they parade at the home sells. That's the typical realtors marketing plan. So if that's what they're doing for that reduced fee, you should know what you're getting. What you're getting with me is this: are they doing radio marketing? Are they doing digital marketing? Are they doing proactive marketing throughout the neighborhood? Are they doing a postcard drop? Right? Do they have a track record? What's their Google review? I'll pull up my Google ranking. I said, what's the agent? What other agent are you interviewing? Okay, this is what their ranking is on Google. And let me show you what mine is. You just type in Made for More. Look, over 500 5-star reviews. Now you may not have that, but you have to lean on what you do have. Okay, showing's better than telling. All right. Another one is we want to interview other agents. We need to think about it. So agree. Hey, that makes sense. If I was with you, I'd want to do the same thing. Okay. By the way, today's meetings, typically this is at the end when you're trying to get the contract signed, right? Did you know that you have less than a 50% chance of getting that contract signed if you leave the living room? So if you say, okay, yeah, take all the time, get back to me when you're ready, I'm ready, you have less than a 1 in 2 chance of getting that agreement signed when you walk out the door. So if you don't push, if you don't have the hard conversations now, they're going to list with somebody else. Odds are. So you're not burning bridges, you're not ruining your chance of getting the listing. What you are doing is if you push through and have these hard conversations in the living room, you're more likely to earn that person's business. This is for that stranger business. They called you off of the sign. They responded to an ad. They met you at an open house. There's no relationship there. If it's a friend or family member, they need to think about it. Again, I would still push for the close, but that you'd have to handle that a little bit differently than somebody who you've never met before. Okay. But so what I always like to say is at the end, I'm like, hey, by the way, this is just a high-level overview of everything we provide. Is there anything missing from our marketing plan that's important to you? And I learned this one from Rick G. Actually, back in the day. Because he had he lost that listing because he didn't talk about the super lockbox.
Yes, I know that story.
Right.
That story.
You guys, for those of you who haven't heard the story, he didn't earn a listing, and so he called the person up, said, hey, you know what, this is how I provide for my family, what could I have done better? Well, the other agent, they have this fancy digital lockbox they're gonna put on, and then it'll track everybody that shows up, and there's times when they can access the lockbox and not access the lockbox, and so we decided to go with them. And he's like, oh, gosh. You know, so that's why I throw this in there, because if there's anything that I didn't mention that's important to them, hopefully that will prompt them to verbalize that. Okay. And so they're like, so typically, yeah, isn't that crazy? Lockbox. Okay, true story. I was at I got a call right after so it was Tuesday, right after I was at the grand opening, and I got a call. One of my properties had been broken into for the third time. It's a vacant property. And so I'm driving down to the property in the middle of the night, and I meet the sellers there, and they were like, hey, do you have one of those lock boxes, those digital lock boxes? I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Freaking, like, can you just hear Rick Jiha, you know, in my ear? I'm like, yes, it's right here. But we also have the contractor lockbox, because the contractors are coming in and doing work, and they can't access the other lockbox. And, you know, so even somebody whose business I had earned was unclear about this digital lockbox. So, all right. So if they say nope, there's nothing, but they still want to think about it, they still like the marketing plan, I say great. Okay. Typically when somebody needs to think about it, it's one of three things. Do you mind if I share those three things with you? Okay. One, it's our pricing and marketing strategy. Is that something you feel 100% confident and comfortable with? You're like, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. I love it. Nobody else has suggested anything like what you have. Okay, great. The second thing is when it comes to compensation and our cancel anytime guarantee. So that's something that we do on the Make More team. You can cancel the agreement at any time, no questions asked. We want to earn your business, not lock you into a contract. So when it comes to compensation, the cancel anytime guarantee, do you think that was fair to you? Oh yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I like how you don't lock us into a contract. Great. Third and final question is about me. Do you think I'm the best agent to represent you in the sale of your real estate transaction? Do you think I'll do the best job for you? Yeah, absolutely, Johnny, you're great. Wonderful. Okay. So if they've agreed to all of the above, either they're lying, right, and they don't want to have a hard conversation with you in their living room after they just gave you cookies, or two, there might be something else. Okay. But hey, you know what? If you're comfortable with all those things, and how about we go ahead and move forward? We can start our pre-marketing. We can get the process started, and you can still interview other agents, right? I'm not saying you not to do that. Just go ahead and continue that process. But then if you find somebody else that you think is a better fit, just call me up. We'll rip up the contract and part as friends. How does that sound? Okay. Now, I'm not saying this is a silver bullet. There are no silver bullets. This isn't going to work 100% of the time. But if it's better than what you're saying right now, if you don't have anything to use right now, this might help get you over that hurdle. Okay. So how else, this doesn't just have to be me speaking. I want this to be more collaborative. What other objection handlers do people use for, hey, we need to think about it, or we're interviewing other agents? Any other suggestions? Was this good? Is this good? You guys are really quiet. All right, what do you got?
Sometimes like it's not about either of those three things to me. Like I get people saying like, I just don't know if this is the right time. I want to wait, or it's not like, maybe I want to let my kids finish school, or maybe there's like whatever reason, or maybe I'm going to wait for interest rates to go down. Like that's like the
Timing, more about timing.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so typically when I'm in the living room, yeah, so we can jump ahead to that one. So through it down here, and it's right here. So this works for buyers and this works for sellers. I got this from Dale Archdeacon, so I'm trying to give credit where credit is due on these. Dale Archdeacon, solid guy. And I can't remember what he calls it, but I'm calling it, I just remember it begin with the end in mind. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to start with the end result and work it back in time frames. So Alicia, let's say you said they wanted to be, the kids want to wait till school's out
Yeah.
to have the home sold or on the market.
Well, like to make our move.
Make the move.
Until, like, we want to wait to deal with all this until kids are out of school.
Okay.
Like, we want to make sure that they out.
Yeah.
Or it's like interest rates, or we want to wait until the interest rates go down.
Let's just keep it to one.
Okay, sorry, those are the timing issues I'm finding, like sometimes it's.
So, okay, so what I need to do is I need to know, what does she mean by this? Does she mean she wants to begin the process in June? Do you want keys in hand in June? Do you want cash in hand if you're selling a home? If you're selling and buying, do you want to have moved into your next property? Like, so when you say you want to begin the process, like when would you like to have keys in hand in your next? Like when you want to be moving?
August.
August? Okay, great. Okay, great. So are you familiar with how long it's taking people in today's market to find the perfect home? That way they can move into it?
Maybe.
Okay, so keys in hand, you have to first identify the perfect home. Okay, so identifying the perfect home in today's market, there's reduced inventory. It's taken 30, sometimes 45, 60 days. So I don't want you to feel rushed through the process. And then once we find the perfect home, the typical escrow process is another 3 to 4 weeks. So from the moment you start shopping for the perfect home to when you're moving in, could be up to 3 months. So that way you're not rushed. Okay, so if you want to move in August, that means we need to like start looking at homes, start serious shopping in June. Does that make sense? Okay. And so what most people do in order to start serious shopping is they do like to meet with us a little bit in advance to put together a game plan. Again, we're not like moving you out, we're not putting a sign in the yard, we're not doing any of those things. But at least that way when we can get the process started. So that way when the timing is right for you to start serious shopping, put your home on the market, do all that, there's a game plan in place. Most people would like to meet with us about 30 days out from doing that. That means the latest we need to be meeting is May. So that way you're not stressed and rushed through this process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, and then you can walk it back even further, right? But I just took her from thinking she doesn't need to do anything until July or August and now having a conversation with me in May. Okay, or at least getting the process started. So if I was listing Alicia's home, I'd say, great. So to begin the process in May, and to have your home sold in your market is taking about 2 to 3 weeks to get an accepted offer, and then you have cash in hand after that. So, and it takes us anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks to get the home ready. And then, so that means if we want to have you moved into your next home in August, it means the house will need to be on sometime in June, right? So that means we need to start doing the pre-marketing and all that sometime in May. So what most people are doing, it's March, there's spring break coming up, there's a lot of stuff happening. So go ahead and we'll begin the process now. We'll start our pre-marketing, so that way we'll hit the ground running in May. Does that sound fair? And if anything changes, you can back out. We don't lock people in. So begin with the end in mind. You can do it with the same with selling. Alicia was a little bit complicated because it's sell and a buy, right? Conversation. But if they're just selling, you just start with, hey, when do you want cash in hand? And then walk it back. If they're wanting to buy a home, start, hey, when do you want to have keys in hand? And then just walk it back. So there's the 4 steps: keys in hand, find the perfect home, start serious shopping, and meet with an agent.
I don't know if I missed you if you said that, but I'll put it on business tax is a rent back, the option to rent back, because that gives them that peace of mind.
Yeah.
Because they're feeling that little anxiety in their belly, just the idea of getting started, right? They overwhelmed with all that.
Yeah, that's really good.
So we understand that that's where they're at. That's what you're speaking to. You're not speaking to their head, you're speaking to their fears,
Yes.
their apprehensions of the plan. But even adding that extra 30 to 45 days, and you can just see their body language.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
hope that helps.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, good stuff, Joey. So any other suggestions from the group think? We got some smart, talented agents in here, been doing it longer than I've been stuck in air. Anybody have anything they want to add?
It's also the SPRP, like if they don't want to put it on the market because they just
Yeah.
they find property.
That's another fear. Like a lot of people are scared. I don't want to list my home until I find my replacement property. Well, now you're in a catch-22 because you're not going to find your replacement property until you're on the market. You know, like what seller is going to accept your offer saying you will put your home on the market and you're only qualified to buy their home once that home that's not on the market sells. Right? Yep. But it really comes down to having those honest conversations. Okay.
Can I just add one little?
Yeah.
John? Yeah, I think the industry does a really good job at sharing objections, but I think what's more important than objections is fears and apprehensions. And I
agree.
think that we fail as agents to speak to those fears more, because those are things that are keeping them from me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I think if you guys can, you document the most common fears that buyers and sellers go through, and you incorporate systems and processes in the presentation, they just say yes.
Yeah.
And they'll say, and you know you did it right, at the end, you're like, you know what? I had no idea of this. I actually thought with this meeting, but I understand the process. It's just
Yep. That is gold.
Yeah.
It's not, you're 100% right, it is spheres. So maybe that's a paradigm shift I'm gonna have to make. I'm gonna make moving
I've been
forward.
teaching that for a long time, and it really, really does help.
When it comes to, when you think objection, just think fears, just think concerns.
Exactly.
That's what they're pushing back on.
Because you can see it on their face. On the phone, you can't, but on Zoom or in person, you can just see the overwhelm.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're just doing that, like what you're talking about, when you do like the future pacing, I do that before I even ask them. So if you were to sign a contract with me today, Donnie, let me know how this is gonna work. If you were to sign it, you were gonna sign with me today, I'm gonna need 2 weeks of pre-marketing, 30 days to close. I get you up to a 60-day rent back or whatever that might be.
Yes.
So really, you don't have to be out of the house until this date. Oh my.
That is strong.
You know what I
Everybody
like
hear 'em?
about the
You guys
fears?
catch that?
You know what I like about using the fears there is I'm the kind of guy, my personality, and there might be a few other IDs in the room. But my personality is if you give me an objection, I've got to beat you down and solve it.
Yeah.
But I'm actually the opposite. If you give me a fear, my strong personality is also a protector,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so now when you come at me and if I see that as a fear rather than an objection, then I'm gonna protect you and remove the fear and treat you gently and things like that because that's also
Yes.
part of my strong
Yes.
personality.
Yes.
So I love that paradigm shift.
Guys, it will change the game for you across that.
Great, I have a question here.
Sure.
Maybe I can advise. What do you do with a client or a customer that he's on the fence? Maybe he didn't decide he wanted to rent it or sell it. So how you move the needle in this situation? How you can handle this?
Yeah.
Any suggestions?
That's just logic. You just gotta help them do the math problem.
Yeah.
Scrap a piece of paper out, but just do the math problem. If what you're looking at doing is, you know what I mean, just do the math problem.
So you gotta calculate the pros
Yeah.
and cons of the both things, like there are mostly you can say the pros of both things, but they can kind of still have it weighed the pros of buying.
Yeah.
So there is like equity building, there is interest writes off, there is, several things.
They mean
They're willing to
renting out
rent
for-
the property or sell the property.
So that's what you do a lot. She'll call me and say, Barry, give me what the rental value would be.
Yeah.
And then when I give her the rental value, then, or you could call Chris gives them the rental value. When you give them the rental value, that helps you weigh that out. You're gonna not make any money if you rent it out. You should probably sell it. Or you're gonna make $200 a month if you rent it out. Maybe you still want to sell it. I don't know. So you'd have to have that conversation.
The highest form of persuasion is self-discovery. So you help them ride down the road of self-discovery. You're not selling them the idea. You're just presenting it, you're helping them self-discover. You're no longer the opponent. You with me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so they call it the Benjamin Franklin, the pros and cons. Because he used to do that in like pros and cons. And what are the pros and cons of selling, pros and cons of renting?
Yeah.
And then also ask questions like, have they done it before? Like, have you rented a property before? Because sometimes they think it may be really easy or it's just mailbox money and they don't realize, there's a little bit more to it than that.
The headache that comes with. Yeah.
No headaches.
No headache.
If they were very
Chris,
well,
no,
get out of
never
it.
That's what I got.
If they're on, then there is.
All right, so I did want to throw up some magic questions. I can't remember some British guy. I read a book, but he's got a great book about questions, and he came up with this term, magic questions. I don't even know if any of these questions are in the book, but I like the term, magic questions. And so when you're meeting with a seller, hey, do you know how to market a property to get buyers to overpay for a home? Because in today's market, you should have at least 5 different examples of how the house was listed for X and it sold for more. We're all one big family here. You can use Alicia's story. Alicia just sold a home $20,000 over list price, multiple offers first weekend on the market. The last 5 homes we've listed, I can think of personally, they have gone for no less than $20,000 over list price, as high as $80,000 over list. Multiple offers first weekend on the market. So use my story. If you don't have your own story, use my story, use Alicia's story, say my team, my brokerage, okay? We. So, and if they don't, then you can share your marketing plan and share how that works, okay? And then another thing, a lot of people, again, fear-based, so the objection is, hey, I don't want to pay X. Because I think they don't understand what they're getting for X, or they think, well, what if I bring the buyer, or what if you represent both the buyer and the seller? Like there's all these different factors that may come into play in the commission conversation that they're having in between their ears. So I like to bring up, hey, are you familiar with our flexible commission program? Okay. And so that way they feel like it's not a rigid box-like structure that it either you take it or leave it. And so how I have my flexible commission structure, I'll be happy to share with you guys. It goes 3%. If you bring me a buyer, we don't have to go to the market. I'll do the paperwork for both sides for 3%. 4%, I will use Russell Enyart's USA Home Bids platform. They don't know who Russell is, but I'm telling you guys that. 4%, I'll put it on there and I'll explain them that. 5%, if I represent both the buyer and the sellers. Personally, I will not represent both. I need to tell them I do not believe in dual representation. But if somebody comes through it, it'll be somebody else on my team that will represent the buyer, and I will represent you exclusively, Mr. Seller, or Mrs. Seller. And then 6 is the traditional, and 7 is for our certified pre-owned home program, where we pay for the home warranty, we pay for the inspections, and we do all that up front for the seller.
How many people take you up on that?
Nobody.
5% was 6%.
If it's dual representation. So if me or somebody on my team represents the buyer.
And the last one, sorry.
Then 6 was our traditional marketing plan. And then 7 was the pre-owned home program.
Do you break that down every listing, Johnny? Do you go through that every listing?
Only if I think it's appropriate. Normally if you introduce too many variables, they're gonna have a lot of stuff to think about.
Right.
And I don't want to confuse the issue. But if we're having a conversation about commissions, I'll be like, hey, just so you're aware, we do have other options built into the system. Would you like to hear more? You know, and then we send a high note before, a digital brochure with a lot of information. And then while I'm there, I have a physical brochure that I go through with them. So anyways, that flexible commission program probably cost me 20 grand to figure out. So you're welcome. Just don't wire me the money to Wells Fargo because it's not coming to me. Yeah.
You ever had one? That's all great information, but I need to, have my parents look at this too. They're on time, or I need my wife to see all this stuff.
Yeah, so that's less of a in the moment objection, and that's more like
Qualifying decision.
you messed up prior to the appointment objection.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you're setting the appointment, you want to make sure, hey, is there anybody else going to be involved in this transaction? I don't want to say anybody else on title, anybody else getting a loan. I say involved because sometimes it's a dad who's maybe not part of any of that, but wants to be involved.
Yeah, so what if the divorce situation is meeting with the husband and the wife can't be there because she has a restraining order and there's attorneys involved?
That's what I got this week.
Zoom calls.
Yeah. So then let's all hop on a phone call. Yeah. But that, you bring up a good point.
Try to disarm.
What if she-
Actually, those,
Yeah,
Well-
they each have an attorney.
So you talk to the attorneys first?
well, I've dealt with the buyers and sellers. I dealt with them directly. I'll talk to the wife.
That's a unique situation. I don't want to.
And then I would go to the husband.
Let's can you two connect offline about that? Yeah, I think there's some value there, but true story. I just happened 2 weeks ago. I was on a listed appointment in Folsom, confirmed that both parties were going to be there. Freaking confirmed. It's 7 o'clock at night. I don't want to be there. I want to be home with my then pregnant wife, my baby, and like doing life, right? I don't want to be in a freaking Folsom at this person's house. And I show up and the dude's there, just the husband.
Mm.
And I'm like, where's oh, I'm sorry. Is your wife gonna be here? I can come back later. Oh, no, it's fine. She can't make it. Something came up last minute. You can meet with me. And at this point, I was like, whatever, man. I probably should have left. I said, it's totally fine. Hey, I get it. It's really important both parties are here. Schedule a time when we can come back. But my head wasn't in the right space, and so I just said, screw it. And so I did the appointment. went over everything with them. Whether you know them or not, do the whole appointment. This is something else. Like I took a luxury listing. It's a $120,000 lot in off of PFE at this mobile home park. I got this luxury listing I took yesterday. It was a referral from another person. He just wanted to sign. He had stuff to do. I went through the whole presentation. So whether you know them or don't, go through the whole presentation. Went through the whole presentation with this guy, left him all the material, did everything that, is there anything else you need to think about? You can sign now. We can get your wife's signature later. Now we need to think about it. He didn't want to sign. So then I kept following up with her because I wanted to make sure I was able to communicate with her directly about everything that we went over. Get her on the phone a couple days later. And she's like, well, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, her husband didn't tell her squat. He didn't tell her anything. And so I'm like, well, she's like, well, what type of marketing do you do? And then so I just started asking questions. I was like, well, did your husband talk to you about our barrier fire marketing plan? She's like, no. Oh, okay. Does he talk about how we advertise on radio and digital marketing? No. Did he happen to mention any of our postcard drops that we do in the neighborhood? And she's like, no. I'm thinking at this point, I'm like just ready to like go dive out this window, and splat on the pavement because it's like, what the heck? But that's why both parties need to be present.
That's like 90% of the cases, you guys.
Yeah.
I had the same situation out with my brother. He wanted to buy a house and he was in the mortgage business. He goes, oh, I don't need to meet with you. I go, oh yeah, grab Charlotte and come over and sit down and meet with me. And I made them sit down because I guarantee he also had experience. So he's not going to convey any of that to his wife. That's way more common than So
Men not talking to their wives,
what's that?
men not talking to their wives.
Yeah, they don't. Very.
My wife came to this event last night that we did for the grand opening. She wasn't coming. I called her up. I said, where are you at? She says, well, you didn't invite me.
Oh, my
And I'm like, we've known about this event for 5 weeks. Yes, you're right. Men don't talk to their husbands.
So anyways, just make sure both parties are going to be there. What I would depend on the situation is I would say, hey, totally get it. It's important both parties be here. The specific situation was she had COVID and he didn't know when she'd be able to get back and they wanted to list this property as soon as possible. So I was like, dang, do I wait whatever the COVID rules are now, or whatever your
Right.
personal COVID rules are, 2 weeks to come back and you want to list it on Tuesday and today's Friday, And so that's why I went with it. But normally I would say, hey, totally get it. It's really important both parties be here. And
Then you would just reschedule.
try to reschedule. And when's a convenient time for both?
Because sometimes it's awkward because they still want percent.
Yeah.
They're all ready to go.
And then they get mad.
Or go through, so you can do that, or go through and say, hey, you know what? And snap, is it okay if I take some photos? Yeah, absolutely great. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my appraiser. I use an appraiser. If you guys wanna know who he is, reach out to me on the side and I pay him to run comps for me. Just get an appraiser's opinion on the value of the home. And I say, let me snap some photos and then I'll run these past my appraiser and then next time when we can all get together, I'll go over his findings with you. Sound fair enough? So now you're also extending some value to him. But you need to have a reason to come back.
So Johnny, you don't give them a listing, like the estimate price, because that's what the homeowners, or how much you think we can sell for,
So I'll give him a range.
range, and then you can narrow them.
So another magic question that I go through is, hey, what do you think the home is worth approximately? What do you think is ballpark? Right. And before I go there, I've looked up Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, Homes.com, and RPR. So I pulled it from 5 different sources because sometimes they'll tell me Zillow said their home was worth X and Zillow is saying their home is worth X minus $250,000. Right.
Can you say that again, Johnny? Where'd you get?
Yeah. So the main ones: Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, Homes.com, the Super Bowl people, and RPR. So we all have access to RPR because we're card carrying realtors. So that's where I get the values from. And I can show, so if they won't, one of the reasons why is because if they are coming at me with Zillow and it's like, well, that's not really what Zillow's saying right now. I can say, that's interesting. Maybe when is the last time you looked at that? Like, I'm not trying to like argue with them because when I looked at it this morning, it said X. Okay. And so what was the question? I'm sorry.
Where did you get those?
Oh, yeah, and so if they will not tell me, if they say, well, I thought that's your job, that's why I brought you in here. What do you think the home is worth? I said, hey, totally get it. Looking at it, I pull and I have like a thick stack of paper for my market analysis. I have a whole market analysis right here. But just looking at Zillow, it said Zillow, I'll try to pick the lowest number out of all of them. Realtor.com said this. Zillow said this. Oh no, do you agree with that? Oh no, I think it's worth way more. Yeah, that sounds about right. Right? I'm trying to get some idea of where they are on price.
So one thing I started doing is that, master marketing sheet where I basically created a document that says Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, Homes.com. And I go to all of those sites. I plug in what the value says on all of those sites. And when I'm with the client, I present them with that. I say, just so you know, I'm sure you've been on all the sites, but you know, and this is what Zillow showed your house is worth. This is what. So if you were the buyer, Mr. Seller, which price would you choose?
That's
I
good.
would choose the lowest one. If you're the seller, which one are you gonna choose? The highest one. I go, well, then what would you suggest we price your home at based on what these sites say?
That's true.
Mic drop, Marguerite, mic drop. Hashtag Marguerite, mic drop.
And I'll print out a copy of it for you guys, but it's, I mean, it's literally a simple thing, has my branding on the top and it has, but the reality is, they've looked at all the sites, you just,
Right.
they've already looked at all those sites, when you walk in, they have the number in their head from Zillow.
Yeah.
And when you tell them that number is not, they're going, oh yeah, you don't know what you're doing. So until you can get through the, and say, I've been to all the sites, this is what they said. And they're always very different. If you guys look, Realtor.com is always higher. Zillow's this, Homes. They're just, you pull up all the ones that you think they're gonna look at.
Yep.
And print it on a sheet of paper and say, this is what I saw online. Is this what you've seen online? They're gonna go, oh yeah. Now you've like cut that off.
Absolutely. And so then what I do is I'll give them if they want a value though, I don't give them $1. Like I won't say $474,000, 900, right? I'll say, hey, somewhere in here. I always typically agree with them. And we are recording this, so whatever. We'll see if mom's watching. But I'll take a listing regardless of whatever the seller thinks it's priced at, regardless of whether I think it's gonna sell for that price point or not. Because at the end of the day, it's their house, their rules. I prefer to have a sign in the yard and an opportunity to represent them and maybe net them the most, maybe not that extreme price, but then have honest conversations. Hey, here's been the feedback. Hey, it's been 2 weeks. Here's the feedback. Because this is just talking about getting the listing signed or getting the buyer to work with you, right? But this isn't how you get paid. You get paid when you help them buy or sell a property. And so this is just getting your foot in the door. But the way that I have had great success, almost 100% sell-through rate, is when I list a property is by doing weekly check-ins, having conversations. Hey, this is what it is. If they don't answer the phone, I'll text them the info. If they don't want text, I'll shoot them an email. But every single week, I'm hitting them with what's happening with the market. And so then oftentimes they'll adjust the price accordingly. But if I don't take that listing, somebody else will. So Brent says the same thing.
Brent told me a long time ago, if they want to list it high, just let, it's their home, but list it high. And, but just more importantly, just saying, do you agree that this is what the market says that your home is worth?
Yeah.
I don't mind pricing it higher.
Correct. And I believe I can sell your home. Like you have to instill confidence, right? If they think they're just, you're unhappy and you're not going to work hard because they're overpriced and the home's never going to sell, then why would they even want to list with you? If you're like, hey, you know what? Brent's famous line, I'm a hungry dog on the back of a meat truck. I am going to do the best job for you, right? And so I'm happy to list it for that. If anybody can get you that price, I can. But here's what the market data is saying. So we just want to make sure expectations are set.
Four listings off of a unrealistic seller.
And that's the other side too, right?
Hey, Johnny.
Offers have babies.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
So, Johnny's topic today was what? Objection handling. I heard something different, so I want to point out what I heard. So I heard that he was really role modeling what a professional presentation looks like. Like, did you get like how good he is just by listening? Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your mindset, Johnny? Like, how did you get that good? Is your mindset like, I'm going to be a master of this presentation, or I'm going to be the best on the planet, or what is your mindset that created that?
I want to make money. That was my mindset. And so in order to make the money, I have to be better and I have to be better than the tens of thousands of agents in our market. And so what I did was I paid people to coach me, and then I shadowed people who were very successful. I went on over, so I partnered with Tom a while back. We signed a contract, and I'd already sold Dollar and I together sold hundreds of homes, but I shadowed him on over 50 listing appointments. I didn't say anything. They thought I was his kid. Like, oh, look, you're bringing your kid with you. That's cute. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know? And so, but I shadowed him on over 50 appointments in order to learn, because Tom is probably one of the most experienced listing agents in the country. He's been doing it since 1977, and the dude just celebrated his 69th birthday on Friday. Okay, so he's been doing it for a while and consistently going out there and generating business. And so I figured, who better to learn from than somebody with that type of experience? So then what I did was I took what he taught me, and I follow it almost exactly to a T. So that answer your question?
So how many people do you think have shadowed Tom Davis on 50 presentations? One human being in the planet. It's this guy right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's great is anybody could do it. So what I want you to think about is like, how are you showing up with your listing presentation? Right? What's your level of commitment? And you might go, man, my listing presentation, it's okay. Right? And then you're going to create a certain way. But you could say, I want to do it. Johnny just role modeled it for us. So it was objection handling, but it was something different, right? That level of preparation. And like Tom, somebody like you, your level of commitment, you do what I'm not saying you're not doing, maybe you're already doing what he's doing, but you could be like the best on the planet. And so Johnny just really acknowledge what a great training and just like role modeling what greatness looks like.
Yeah. And it's, Tom's good, but Joey's fantastic. Marguerite dropped the bomb as well, at least two today that I'm going to implement in my presentation moving forward. So there's a lot of experience and quality in this room. So thank you for showing up, guys. Was this valuable?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you next Thursday. Same time, same place. Bye all. Bye online.